Hi, fourth graders. Welcome to our language lesson. As you can see on the screen, I have questions that answer or that ask for adjectives. So let me say it again. Adjectives answer these questions. There are 5 of them, so they're missing one, and I'll add that. So these are the questions that look for adjectives. Which one? What kind? How many? And the other one is how much? And then whose. So that's 5. We've been learning about adjectives all week long, even last week. So I want you to pay attention to these questions when we look for adjectives. If you want, you can write these down somewhere in your book, maybe on a post-it note so you can hang them somewhere in your home. But keep these in mind, and they kind of have a rhythm to them when you ask the questions. So again, it's which one, what kind, how many, how much, whose. So I'll say that one more time and you can say it with me. Which one, what kind, how many, how much, whose. All right, so now we can take our language books to page 125. Oh, sorry, that was a mistake. 109. I'm thinking of the third graders because they're way in 120s. Okay, so 109. I'll write it down. There you go. See? 109. Okay, so today we get to diagram adjectives. I've been waiting for this because I like diagramming. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but we get to add another element to it, which are adjectives. And as always, before we even get to diagram, I need you to make sure that the first thing we need to do is mark the sentence. We've got to find the verb and the subject first. Remember, the verb is the most important part of the sentence. That's why it's underlined twice. The verb are action words, or they can be state of being verbs like is, are, was, were, has, had, have, or even helping verbs like have, has, done, have, has, had, do, does, will, shall, will, all of that. I'm trying to look at the chart over here. Okay, so the question you just need to ask when you are looking for the verb is, what's happening? What's going on? What's the action? All right, let's take a look at number 1 under Think A. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Very good. We're learning again about Botswana. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Many wild animals live in Botswana's Kamarino sanctuary. Ooh, I think I read that second word wrong. I'll say it again, and I'll say it slower. Number 1. Many wild animals live in Botswana's Kamarino sanctuary. Okay, now we have to ask ourselves, what's happening? What's the action? What are they doing? I hope you found it. They live. Ooh, that's thick. Let me use a thinner font. They live. Who lives? Just one. We're only looking for one subject. Who lives? Now, I don't want you to say many wild animals. Just animals. Okay? And then you'll draw your line. So it's kind of already, if you can tell, it's kind of already diagrammed. I'm going to use this space here to diagram the sentence. I love that this book provides space because the other 4th grade books for years that I've taught here never provided space. You would always have to do on paper. So I'm going to draw my sidewalk. Okay, we call this a sidewalk. I don't know if you remember when we would diagram. The parking meter. Whenever I would go to the beach, there would be parking meters because you got to pay for your car to be parked. Now here on this side, we put the verb. Okay, now don't write verb. I'm just letting you know on that side, that's where you put verb. Now I'm going to erase that. I guess I have to erase the whole thing. Okay, sidewalk, parking meter. The verb is live. And on the left-hand side, on your left-hand side, animals. All right, now I'm not done because I did the verb, I did the subject. Now I have to do the adjectives. This is the fun part. I need to figure out the adjectives. Remember, describe a noun. And as I pointed out here, these are the 5 questions. Arg, they're missing one. Let's make that thinner or thicker. How many? How much? Sorry. Okay, so which I have to use these to figure out what the adjectives are. So which one, what kind, how many, how much, whose. The noun that we're describing here are animals. So then I ask myself, how many animals? Many. What kind of animals? Wild. And then I'm done. Now I get to go back here and I'm going to draw the adjectives onto my diagram. Now Now you're probably wondering, where does that go? Where do the adjectives go? I'll show you. They go underneath the subject. So I'm gonna have to like turn this around and you'll see what's gonna happen. You'll have to turn your book around too. That's what I call a parking lot. I don't know if you noticed the parking lot designs, like at church or Target or Walmart. Some of them are diagonal, some of them are straight. Here, for adjectives, we have them diagonally. So we're gonna have two, okay, parking lots. I call them parking lots. One for the word many animals, many wild animals, and that's where you put the adjectives underneath the subject. And that's it. That's how you diagram with adjectives. I'm going to erase this just slightly because I need room for the other diagram. Okay, so we're going to do number 2. We'll do number 3 at our Zoom meeting, but I hope you get the idea after we do number 2. So again, for number 2, we find the verb. I'm going to use green. Find the verb first. What is happening? So I'm going to read the sentence. The tall giraffe and the swift cheetah live there. Okay, so what's happening? What are they doing? They live. All right. Who lives? Well, we've got two things who live there. We've got just giraffe and cheetah. I'll just draw my line here to separate that subject and verb. Now I am going to diagram. Okay, remember you can always pause the video if you need to. Notice for this we have two subjects, which means we have to have a rocket ship. So it's funny that they kind of don't give us enough room for a rocket ship. So our rocket ship has to be not so big, ironically, because it's a rocket ship. Okay, so I know that we have one verb. So I'm going to just draw one side here. And the verb is live again. Did you realize that? Okay, live. Now, who or what lives? Well, we've got the giraffe. And we also have the cheetah. Okay, now be very careful. And I'm going to do this with here. Put my hand on the ceiling. So that's what I have so far. So make sure this is what you have. Giraffe, cheetah, live. Okay, if you need to pause the video or rewind, go for it. Next, I have to ask myself the questions, the adjective questions. Which one? What kind? How many? How much? Whose? Well, looking back, it doesn't really tell me how many or how much or whose, but it does definitely tell me which one. So which giraffe? The giraffe. And remember, the is an article, all right? We consider that an article. It's a given adjective. What kind of giraffe? Tall giraffe. Now we'll go to the cheetah. Which cheetah? The cheetah. What kind of cheetah? Swift cheetah. Okay. So here's where it gets kind of complicated, and you'll have to do your best, given the space that we have. I'm going to draw parking lots because we have adjectives. So this is me just moving my iPad. I'm going to put 2 parking lots underneath giraffe. I know that's hard, but you can do that. And I'm going to put the tall, okay? We got to be creative. And then for cheetah, we've got plenty of space here, but I'm still going to not go too much. The swift. The swift. All right. And that's what we have for number 2. Really interesting, I know. So we are going to do number 3 at our Zoom meeting, and I'm really looking forward to it. And if you want to give number 3 a shot before you see me, that'd be cool too. Okay, remember me. All right. Use proofreader marks. So this will include periods, commas, quotation marks, apostrophes, question marks, exclamation points. Okay. Have you ever taken a missions trip to Botswana, Mr. Fisher? Asked Sydney. Oh, so this is a dialogue. So you see the dialogue tag, asked. So I'm trying to imagine what she's saying in her speech bubble. What is Sydney saying? Well, Sydney is saying, have you ever taken a mission trip to Botswana, Mr. Fisher? She's asking a question. So I'm going to put a question mark here because she's not saying, ask Sydney? That doesn't make sense. So, right here. And then, since I'm trying to picture what she's saying in her speech bubble, here's what we'll do. That's what she's saying. All right. Then I've got to now capitalize things like the have, Botswana, because that's the name of a place. Oh, Mr. Fisher, because that's someone she's speaking to. And if she's speaking to Mr. Fisher, she'll need a comma after Botswana and a period for Mr. There we go. That's it. So here's what Sydney's asking. Have you ever taken a mission trip to Botswana, Mr. Fisher? Asked Sydney. Number 2. Yes, I have, he answered. I helped an American missionary family in the capital city Gaborone. Okay, I'll say that again. Yes, I have, he answered. I helped an American missionary family in the capital city Gaborone. Ooh, okay. Fancy, good for him. So now the speech bubble shifts to Mr. Fisher. Now he's speaking, and we've got to imagine, what is Mr. Fisher saying? Okay, so he's saying, yes, I have. I know that. Yes, I have, comma, he answered. I've got to capitalize the Y in yes, and the I for sure. And since there's a yes, we've got to put a comma after yes. Okay. Now he's going to keep talking. Just because the quotation marks end after have, he's still saying, I helped an American missionary family in the capital city, Gaborone. So here's what I'm imagining him saying. And I'll put quotation marks around that. And he stops at Gaborone. We've got to capitalize American. That, we learned this yesterday, American is a proper adjective. It describes a noun, but it's capitalized. So I'm going to capitalize American missionary family in the capital city. Now, Gaborone is the name of the city, so I've got to capitalize Gaborone. Okay, I'm done. We're going to do number 3 at our Zoom meeting. Okay, so look forward to that. 3 and 3 for both parts. The main idea here is knowing how to diagram sentences with adjectives. And I hope that was insightful and fun. I was really looking forward to this, as I said before, and I'm looking forward to our Zoom meeting when we finish this page. Thank you very much, Fourthies. See you later.